What's up, everybody? It is Juneteenth. This is Friday. This is the last day in my 5-part series entitled Behind the Scenes. All week long, I have been speaking with entertainment industry professionals who work behind the scenes. I've talked to writers, producers, directors, hairstylists, and tonight we wrap it up with a very talented casting director. To all of you who are catching this broadcast on the replay, thank you so much for tuning in to the Angela Ray Show. As always, I'm going to give you all an opportunity to get on. When you get onto the broadcast, let me know where you are watching from today. Go ahead and hop in those comments. Represent your city, represent your state. Let me know what you did for Juneteenth, how you celebrated this very important day. It's not a holiday yet everywhere in the country, but it is a very important day, particularly for African Americans around the United States. Again, go ahead, chime in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from tonight, and we're going to be getting started in just a moment or two. What's up, Gary Jones? Checking in from Raleighwood, Rough Raleigh in the house. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, I'm excited. This has been a very informative show for me. Throughout this week, I have learned as an entertainment professional from those who work behind the scenes. I've heard all kinds of tips and great information, and listening to everybody's stories on how they got started has definitely been inspiring. So we're going to kick it off right now with our Ray of Motivation moment. And since this is Juneteenth, I thought I would switch it up a little bit. I'm going to do a little spoken word for you all. So I can't hear your little snaps. You know how y'all would snap if we were all in the spoken word cafe? That's okay. I'm going to feel your snaps tonight. I'm going to do a piece that I wrote maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. I actually debuted it at a birthday party, which was crazy because I didn't even know I was going to perform. That's a whole nother story. But this piece is entitled Born to Shine, because I believe that we all are ordained from the time that we are born to let the light that is within us shine. So this is called Born to Shine. I was born to shine. I am a child of the divine. I stand in my power, prepared for my purpose and poised to pursue the path chosen for me. I was born to shine. See, I am destined to get mine because I'm standing on the shoulders of soldiers who wage war so that one day I could soar, keeping my eyes on the prize, lest my feet stray from the path that was ordained for me. My eyes must stay on the prize, lest my heart forget the vision, the dream made plain for me. I was born to shine. This is my time, deep like the rivers. My soul has grown, losing myself in the moment. I own it, never giving up, though I might mess up because even my errors are correct. No ego chickman, that's just what I expect. My failures, I reject. I was born to shine, serving all mankind, for it's through service that I succeed. I win by meeting my neighbor's need, though teamwork requires extreme work, but the work is not mine to own because destiny is not fulfilled alone. Even the Lone Ranger had Tonto. So I know where I go, I get love flow. My mission grows and I reap what I sow. I was born to shine. That's the bottom line. I am too equipped to be whipped. I am too anointed to fear my appointment. Sorry, I can't travel both the road of faith and fear. My mission is clear. Two roads diverged in the wood, and I chose the one that allowed me to fly, stretching my wings, looking toward the sky, still like hope springing high. I shine. That is born to shine. And so on this Juneteenth of 2020, I hope that you have gone out and you have let your light shine. That is our ray of motivation moment for this Friday edition of the Angela Ray Show. Well, right about now, it is time for me to bring on our special guest for tonight. She is a casting director who got her start with her own company, LQ Casting. She's been in the business for over a decade. She has started branching out into producing and directing, and she has some other experience throughout the industry as well. So help me welcome LaQuanda Plant. LaQuanda, thank you so much for being on the Angela Ray Show tonight.
Hey, hey
How are
girl.
you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am doing good. So I know that this has been a oh, I got some finger snaps. Okay then. Okay then.
Look, I can't snap with this finger.
I can
I
only
was
do it with
snapping in my
one.
hand.
I can do it like this. That is crazy. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
yeah, I
I can
have
do
no
my
idea what that's
right
about.
hand, but my left hand, like,
Me either. I can't do it with my left hand either. I can't. I don't know what that's about. So Quanda, how have you spent this time of social distancing and quarantine and all that?
well, I'm like a self-proclaimed chef now. No,
You
I've
know
been
what? It's
cooking
funny
a
you say
lot.
that because that's next week. I'm going to be interviewing all chefs. So it's so funny you say that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I love food anyways. And I spent like 20 years working in hospitality. I used to serve tables and I love food. My ex-husband is a chef and I've dated a few chefs. So I love me some food. I'm a food snob. But I have two teenage boys. So I cook and I love to cook for them. So usually, when we're working, I cook, but it's not all day, every day. But since the
Right.
quarantine, hi, Joanna. I've been cooking a lot. So, and it's
Okay.
so funny because like friends will be like, "Oh, I cooked this," and then like I'll show them like, "Me too. Let me send you a picture." And then mine is like all gourmet. They're like, "Whatever," and I'm like, "Oh." But no, I've been cooking. I've been reading, yoga. I've been doing yoga.
Okay.
I've been meditating. I did a meditation challenge maybe a month or two ago, and I kind of kept going with it. Um, I created an actor's journal, which I'm most excited about. Is going to be published. And so I did that while in quarantine. So I'm really excited about that. I was just kind of trying to think like, what can I do to, do my part? I'm like always like the liaison anyway between the production company and actors. And I feel as though I'm an advocate for actors and just thinking about, I did general meetings. I've never done that before. I did general meetings through Zoom, which was interesting. And I met a lot of actors from
Okay.
around the world. Like I talked to actors from like the UK,
Wow.
and as well as different parts of the United States. I've talked to someone that was in Belize, just all over the place. But one thing I do know as a casting director that actors, and you can attest to this if you like, but once you all leave the room, you want kind of like feedback, and you never really get it immediately. And some people do well with it, some people don't. Some people get in their head about it, some people stress over it. And I just feel like just for like your mental health, it would be a good idea to journal, so
Okay.
instead of kind of like focusing on how you did an audition, like journal about it. So I created an actor's journal. So I'm really excited to release that hopefully soon.
Okay. Awesome. Now,
Yeah.
you got started in the entertainment industry. How?
Um, I got started. I knew when I was like 17, I always wanted to be a director. So I went to school for film, and I end up get the short version of it. I end up interning for a talent agency, which led to an internship with a casting director, which led to me starting my own casting company in 2009. So that's like the short version of how I got started. But yeah, I knew at a very early age that I wanted to work in film. So
Okay. And what was the very first project that you worked on? Do you remember?
yeah. Um you know what? Okay, so the very first project I worked on was called Breaking Up is Hard to Do. Before that, I had an opportunity to PA on something. I do not remember the name of that though. But my very first casting job was for a film Breaking Up is Hard to Do. And you might be able to catch it on Showtime or something. It's been out. But that was in 2009. And I was working with Nikki Simpson and Tabari Sturdivant, and we were casting. I was a casting assistant for George Pierre, and I had asked Nikki who was doing her extras casting, and she was like, "I am," and I said, "I'll do it for you for free," and she said, "Okay," and that's kind of how I started. And it was my first film, and it was amazing. So yeah.
And so, what has this journey been like? Because you've been casting, but in addition to that, you've also had some other jobs behind the scenes. Talk a little bit about that.
So when I started casting in 2009, I'm also like self-proclaimed indie casting director. I've done a lot of independent films, music videos, short films, web series. I've done pretty much everything. But in 2016, I decided to go back to school to get my
Okay.
bachelor's. Um, just because I probably didn't have anything to do. I just woke up one day and decided to go back to school. And through that journey of going back to school and to get my BA in digital filmmaking, I just wanted to know really more about what everyone did on set because I didn't know. And I want to produce and I want to direct. And so I asked to be a PA. And I got a lot of whys about you wouldn't do that. But I just really wanted to know. I didn't know what production life was like. I didn't know what they did in a production office. I didn't know what those jobs entailed or what they did. And so I just kind of wanted to be in that atmosphere. So I got the opportunity to PA, office PA on Greenleaf, season 3. I day played on that show, and then I moved on to another show called Step Up High Water, and I was the office PA throughout the whole season of that show. And then from there, I've done little odd jobs. I was a travel assistant, a crafty assistant, back to a travel assistant, and extras casting. So I've done a few little jobs here and there, and the for me is it was all learning. It was learning and networking, and I met a lot of wonderful people that I feel as though I wouldn't have met if I wasn't in these positions. I met like an amazing stump guy named Keith, and who's worked on anything and everything you could think of. This man, um, this black man has worked on every awesome film, like Marvel films, like anything you could think of, going back to like early 90s, even 80s. He's been a stunt guy for, and I would have never had a chance to meet him and, his wonderful assistant. It's just been a great opportunity. Like I was watching Joker a couple months ago, and I was looking at the credits, and the production designer on Joker was the production designer on the show I was working on. And so when I went back to work, I was like, "Oh my god, you worked on Joker!" Just like really cool situations like that. Just seeing these people and kind of seeing their journeys and seeing other really cool shows they worked on. Like I was watching Euphoria, and I think she was the production coordinator, but she also was someone that I had worked with on a previous show. So it was just cool to see like the shows that I watch or just to see credits and then see these people that I've worked with, which makes me feel comfortable in my environment. Like, okay, I'm getting closer, to where I want to be as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Now, two quick clarifications. One, for those of you who are watching and maybe you are not very familiar with the entertainment industry, Crafty is food. That's what we love. We
Oh,
love when
sorry.
crafty is. No, no, no. It's okay because I know that we have a lot of people who are watching who are in the industry, but I imagine there may be some people who heard crafty and like, oh, they do craft,
The art
arts and
practice?
crafts on the set. No, no, no. Crafty is the food, and we love when crafty is putting out something fresh on set.
The
I know I
snack
do.
part. Yeah,
Yes.
you have catering and you have the snacks. The snacks is crafty.
Yeah,
We
and
all love the crafty tape.
sometimes crafty is better than the catering. Every now and then, you see something on craft, I'm like, wait a minute. They put something really nice
Yeah, when they
together.
had that
On
first and second. Yeah, when they had the little snack meals.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And what else? You had mentioned looking at the credits and seeing that the production designer on The Joker was also on working on the show with you. And so, for those of you who are in the industry, I guess one piece of advice, I just do it because I have friends who work in so many facets in the industry. Read the credits, like watch if you can. Now Netflix makes it really hard because I sometimes I have to play with Netflix. I'm like, y'all
Yeah,
gonna let me see these credits, so I'm
I
rewinding and pause. So
know.
I hate that about Netflix. But if you can, definitely watch the credits because number one, it's just a respectful thing to do. There are a lot of people who work very hard in the industry, and while we see the actors, there's so many people who work behind the scenes to make it happen. So if you can,
Indeed.
definitely stay and watch those credits. But it's a great way to see who's where and who's doing what. And you never know. You may see a name that you recognize, and that may be a way to open some doors for you.
Exactly. And also to see like it's so many more jobs than just the five that you hear all the time. There are hundreds of jobs. So even if you are interested in working in the film industry but not really quite sure, there's like hundreds of jobs, from like people who handle the lights and the sounds and just hundreds of jobs that you don't even think of. You're like, oh, you might do
Right.
that. People who like transportation, they get paid. Okay. Like if you know how to drive, get your CDL license and join the transportation, join the union to do that. Cause that is a really good career right there. They make a lot of money, honestly. Honestly.
Yeah. And during the summertime, it's not bad. You just in the AC going from point A to point B. It's not that bad.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So you have held so many casting sessions over the years. What are maybe your top three pieces of advice that you would give to actors based on what you've seen in the room? And if you want to, you can even add self tapes because during this era of the Rona, very few people are holding in person auditions.
Yeah. It's so funny that you mentioned self tape is that because I never do self tape. I'm like, that's something even walking out of here. Now I'm going to have to be the casting director that accepts self tape because I love in person audition. I love to be able to give direction in the room. And I love that energy and just the art of auditioning. I think it's an art. So I really love that. And I think you don't really get that via tape. And I'm like super old fashioned. So I just really love doing things like that. But a lot of actors have asked me that about sex self tape. And I'll tell you my other ones, then I'll throw in some what I think as far as self tape. But as far as auditioning as a whole or in general, definitely be prepared. It shows in your performance. Don't overthink the, the lines and what you're doing. Try to be within the moment. Don't apologize for your audition. Like if you make a mistake, like don't apologize. Especially while you're in the middle of the audition and you forget a line, like don't apologize. Just try to keep going. Like I had a workshop last weekend. It was improv, and it was the point of that I was teaching them as far as like people think of improvisation as and with comedy, but I think it also helps for you to be quick on your feet. Like if you do forget a line, you know how to recover from that really quickly because you've mastered improvisation. Um, but as far as like when you're on self tape, I think it's important to make sure the area that you're in doesn't distract the audition. So like making sure your lighting is good, your sound is good, there's no distractions in the background, first and foremost. Sometimes you can control who reads with you or not, but just try to stay engaged with, I would guess say, the camera. So when I'm watching it, I'm not distracted by anything else that's like around you. I think that would be like most important. It's just to make sure your setup is not distracting and that your audition is clear and your performance is clear.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to ask you to call names or maybe
Okay.
even give a specific project, but could you share
Okay.
maybe one of the craziest things you've seen an actor do inside the audition room?
Oh my. Okay. So really early on, and I will never forget this story, and I will definitely not call out any names. Um, sorry, me. I was auditioning for Osiris many moons ago, and we had someone in the audition, and like they were so nervous that their legs wouldn't stop shaking.
Okay.
Like where me and my a seizure. What is this? Was a seizure? To have a seizure, and it was like terrifying. That was like the craziest thing like I ever saw, but it was all nerves, and I've never seen anyone that nervous that their entire body shook like that. That was one of the craziest things that I could think of. I
So
don't.
nobody's brought any like outlandish props?
No, okay. I was about to think of another one. Someone actually came into an audition. Their monologue was me. They walked into the audition. Hi, my name's LaQuanda Plant, and da 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 da, blah 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 blah. And they had like a whole kind of spiel, playing me, and it was cute. It was it was very different.
Oh,
And we
wow.
also had, yeah, that was, it was different, but it was cute. I actually did enjoy that. It was really different. And then we also, Osiris, we were auditioning for a gypsy, but it was more so like gypsies. I don't know if people really know, but gypsies are normal people. Like gypsies aren't like circus gypsies and fortune teller that wear, you know. And
Right.
so we were auditioning for a gypsy, and someone came in uh very carnival like. They had a like fortune teller outfit, a huge turban, different colors, and we were like, whoa, it completely missed the mark. And it also, you know, I try to keep my Simon Cowell on where I have like my straight face, but it always kills me when people try to do the scene like, okay, say you're lifting weights and then you just like mm, and it's like no weights and you're just like lifting weights and we're like, what are you doing? So that's always interesting to me as well when people use invisible props and it's like nothing there. It's kind of awkward, but yeah.
The pantomime. So, in addition to casting, you have ventured over into different. You know what? You know what's
Mhm.
funny? I don't consider myself a casting director, but because I used to produce my own theater projects, and they were independent, I was doing my own casting, and so it, having that little bit of an eye, I cast a few PSAs and commercials in the last 4 to 5 years, and there was a gentleman who came in. He didn't have his headshot, which you and I
Mhm.
know is a no-no, because we had asked. Every now and
Right.
then you might get, especially in this day of digital, sometimes we know they say, "Oh, don't bring your headshot." And I always do, just in case by the time you get there, a producer's in the room and they didn't know the person was coming. So I still try to bring it. But he didn't have a headshot, but he had
I
business
always
cards.
say bring it. Yeah.
He had
Mhm.
business cards with his picture on it. Long story short, I'm in the room with the producer and the director, and we are narrowing down our choices. And all of a sudden, we're looking in the system of the submissions from the agents, and the producer's like, "Oh, this person never came," and I was like, "Oh, he sure didn't. He was a no-show." As it
Mhm.
turned out, that person did show up. But in the submissions from the agent, the headshots that the agent has on their website, this person was
Mhm.
probably approximately 165, 170 pounds with a nice smooth cut beard and a nice slow haircut. No, nice slow haircut.
Uh-huh.
Then when we went and pulled the business card of the guy who did not have the headshot, we realized he had the
Mhm.
same name as the person we thought was a no-show. Except on the business card, he was bald. He had a salt and pepper pepper goatee, and he was about 60 pounds heavier. That's why we thought he was a no-show. So that just goes to show that you definitely need to keep, I keep your headshots updated. Even if most people say every year, even if it's not every year, if you change that dramatically, where 1 minute you have hair, the next minute you don't, 1 minute you have a black beard, and the next minute it's salt and pepper goatee, it's probably time to update that headshot. Definitely. You still there, LaQuanda? Because it looks like you're frozen. So it looks like she is having a few technical difficulties. I feel like I hear you now, LaQuanda, although you're not on the screen. You back?
There you go. I'm
Sounds
like,
a little bit.
what happened?
You know what's interesting? It on the screen, you were just still, so it looked like I was telling the best story ever, and that you were just so attentive. That
Uh-huh.
that's what it looked like. So we have a question. And it was funny because I was like, oh, she really into this story I'm telling. Like she is really into it. But no, the screen.
I missed the entire story.
Oh,
I
did
missed the
you?
entire story. Like I heard you say, I did. Like you started off. No, I didn't miss the entire story. It went black for me when you said it was the guy with no headshot, and then it went off. So I'm assuming it was the same guy, but he looked different. But I don't know because it went off after
He
that.
looked very different. Essentially, the headshot that we had received from his agent, he had a full beard. It was nice. It wasn't, this beard game that we have. It was just a full, nice, clean cut beard and a full head of hair. But on the little headshot that was on his business card, and he looked exactly like that when he came in the room, he was about 60 pounds heavier. He didn't have any hair. And now he had a salt and pepper goatee. But we brought him in because of the headshot we received, not because of what came in the room. That's why we didn't even know he showed up. Like, that's how different. It wasn't even just that he didn't have a headshot. He looked so dramatically different. We thought he was a no-show. So,
Oh,
yeah, not good. Not good. So, one of our very loyal viewers, Edwin, has a question for you. Can you see that question on the screen?
so can when it comes to casting, is the person's look more important, a person's talent, or a mix of both? When it comes to casting, I mean, definitely a mix of both, but the look has to be what I'm looking for. So when I put down, like when I put out a breakdown, I'm looking for specific physicalities, I guess, physical assets for people like height, weight, is all in the breakdown. If I don't put anything, then it's open, so it doesn't matter. And so when you're invited to audition, it's based on your headshot. So I see you first. I see you before you even get in the room, before I even know what your talent is, unless you send me a reel or I'm sorry, know you as an actor. But it is a mixture of both to answer your question.
So, what's
But
next for
talent
you?
talent
Oh, I'm sorry.
outweighs though.
Okay.
No, that was me. I went ahead and interrupted you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was going to let you finish up. I was actually going to ask you what's next for you. I know that you are a casting director, but you have also started directing Valerie Morgan, as well as your most recent project. I think it's called, is it Stockholm? Is that how you pronounce it? I think you
Yes,
got okay. All right. That was, there
Stockholm,
was a little bit.
based
Yeah,
off
Stockholm.
Stockholm syndrome.
Okay.
So yeah. So it's fine on my end. I can hear you and see you just fine. So let me know if you can't hear or see me. But yeah, it's
You
Stockholm
just
based
it's a delay.
off
It's
of
a slight
Stockholm
delay. That's
syndrome.
all.
And I also produced and I started directing maybe 4 years ago. Oh, okay. Um, but to answer your question, what's next is just more directing, more producing. I'm really going to be focused on those two, and then still cast, probably just cast the projects that I direct and produce. Of course, unless I get called to cast something. But my goal is to create content. Is really what's next.
So if there's someone out there watching on the replay, shout out to the replay viewers, or someone who's on the broadcast now live, and they're looking to get into casting specifically, what advice would you give them?
Mm-hmm. Do your research. I mean, like I watch a lot of television. I watch a lot of movies. It's really hard to get into casting. I'm not even gonna lie and say that it's easy. It's really hard. You have to find someone that will let you in, and like I just took on a mentor and assistant for someone who went through the same journey as I did. Like I reached out to so many people, did not give me an opportunity. She told me the same thing, that she reached out to so many people and I was the only person that responded to her. So you have to be very persistent, very diligent. If this is something you really want to do, you definitely have to have like a love and a passion for it. Like Angela, I'm sure you could attest to this when you said you had auditions and you cast some plays, but you have to sit through a lot of people that may not be as talented as they think they are. And I know a lot of producers and directors who cast their own projects and like, I don't know how you do this. And they always call me to do it. Like, you definitely have to have a love and a passion for it, because it can be very time consuming and it can be very draining, if you don't love it. You're sitting for hours watching people audition. And so I would say to get in, have an open mind to intern, offer yourself as an intern, try to get a mentorship, and the internship will more than likely lead to be an assistant or an associate, which will lead to, you moving on up as a casting director.
Yeah, it is a lot of sitting. When you said that, people coming in and they may not be as talented as they think they are, I'll never forget, and I won't share exactly where this audition was, but I remember sitting in an audition setting, and there were me and maybe two, three other, maybe three or four, three, maybe three tops other decision makers, and this person came into audition, had prepared a poem by Maya Angelou called Phenomenal Woman. You're
Uh-huh.
familiar with that poem, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very familiar poem.
Very.
Most
Mm-hmm.
people of a certain age, particularly in the African American community, and especially if you're a woman, you've heard it. You may even know it by memory, but you've definitely heard it. So, as we sit through this audition, when the young lady gets to the first refrain, she says, "For mama, for mama
Oh
woman."
no.
Yes, that's me. And so the first time we was like, oh, she's nervous. But that refrain happens three additional times. There's four major stanzas in that poem. And each time she said it, she
Mm-hmm.
got more confident as the audition went on, but she still kept saying, for mama, for mama woman. That's me. And by the time she got to the last one, literally everyone is like trying to hold it in. There was one guy, I think he had held it in so much, he just faked like he was coughing and had to leave the room. Um, yeah, it was, and we were all like, who gonna tell her? And ironically, we ended
Me,
up,
I would have.
the audition itself was actually good. She just kept messing up that word. So yeah, you have to sit
Yeah.
through some stuff, and you do want people to give their best performance. And while it was crazy, and when she finally left, we literally were in tears because we had been holding the laughter in so long. She actually did a great
Yeah.
audition, and we actually put her in the project because she was very
But it just said
confident.
a word.
She just said it was really, really wrong, really, really wrong. All right, so as we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts? 2020 is, for me, let me just say it like this. I don't want to speak for other people, but 2020 definitely is not quite the year that I thought it was going to be. However,
Right.
it definitely has presented some unique opportunities, particularly in this climate of Black Lives Matter and so many
Mm-hmm.
companies, particularly in the entertainment industry, being vocal about wanting Black content and Black stories. What advice, what final thoughts and advice do you have for the people before we wrap up tonight?
I think after, like you said, I don't think we all thought 2020 was going to be the way it is, but I think 2020 gave us all a time to be. just sit and just rest and
Mm-hmm.
be present with our minds, be present with our lives. And with anything, I mean, I hope, people took some time to self evaluate and just figure out like who they are as a person, as an individual, and what they want to do throughout their personal journey with life. When you see something like a virus just come and sweep through and take people's lives, it has to put your life and your train of thought into perspective as far as how to move forward. How can we move forward as human beings? How can we move forward now with the racial tension in the country? How can we move forward as a human race? And I just really hope that people do really take this time of self quarantine or being home to just love themselves so they can love other people. And I think that's the issue. And then once you have that self love within yourself, for me, I feel like you can accomplish anything. Like once you have that confidence within yourself and that love within yourself, you can accomplish anything you set forth to do. And so, with this short amount of time that we have here on this earth, I say live it to the fullest. We all say it, the same thing, YOLO. But it's really, I mean, this for me specifically has been the time to really put life into perspective. I feel like I had a handle on that before, but like sitting still for months at a time really kind of opened my eyes to things that I really wasn't open before. And that would be a whole nother conversation if we went into that. But hopefully, everyone out there has done the same and took advantage of just being still, and doing things to better themselves as a human being to make themselves better for the world. So
Well, I think
that's
that
all I
is
have.
definitely great advice. Great advice. Thank you, LaQuanda, for coming on the Angela Ray Show, hanging out with us on this Friday evening, Juneteenth.
Thank
You
you
know,
for
I was trying to
having
represent a little bit.
me.
You see my earrings? Boom, 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 boom. You
I
know,
see it. Yes.
and I wish I could remember
Hey.
the store. I do remember where I got them from. I got them in is it North DeKalb Mall? But North DeKalb Mall is it's about to go out of business. I don't even know if there's any stores in there. Um, but yeah, I went and got the earrings and got a whole outfit. I was ironically, I bought these for Juneteenth 2 years ago. I had a performance in Wisconsin, and that's why I bought them. So, but yeah, I don't even know if that store is still in
Yeah,
existence.
that's the one on North Druid Hills, right? Yeah, it's
Yep.
like limited stores in there.
Yeah, the last maybe a year or so ago when I was there, I was hearing that they may be eventually tearing it down. They were going to build a Costco because there's like an AMC theater, but like walking in the mall, oh my gosh, there's very like you might walk every three stores actually is occupied. It's kind of sad, but yeah. So now with the pandemic, who knows what it looks like over there now?
Oh yeah, because in Wisconsin you needed to wear them because there's not that many there.
No, it was definitely a different world from the South. I enjoyed my time there. I was actually
The
brought in by this
South there.
organization called the yeah, it's an organization called the African Heritage Network. They were the ones who brought me in. So, yeah, I'm wondering if you can still hear me because you're frozen on my. Okay, there
Cool.
you go. You were frozen on my screen for a minit, and you were. It looked like you were
I
laughing,
can.
but you were frozen.
Yeah, no, I heard you this whole entire time. I heard you.
Ah, okay. I don't know what's going on. A little technical delays, but that's cool. Well, again, LaQuanda, thanks so much for hanging out with us on tonight and enjoy the rest of your
No
evening.
problem.
All
You as
right.
well. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye. All right, that is it for this Friday edition of the Angela Ray Show. On the bottom of the screen, you can see LaQuanda's Instagram. Make sure you follow her, connect with her. She is a wealth of information, a great resource for all types of jobs in the entertainment industry. And while that is her entertainment Instagram, she is also a life coach. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about that tonight, but LaQuanda is also a life coach. So that is it for this Friday edition, for this Juneteenth celebration 2020. As always, I would like to remind you of Ray of Motivation number 54. Cleaning a mirror does not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage you all to go out and be the change. Have a great weekend.